begin by taking this chair off the stage. So thank you for inviting me to share this with you. It's a funny story because it begins with a day at Teachers College when in New York City, Columbia University, when some of the faculty were hanging out using the dance studio, even though there was no longer a dance department. And one of the people was Claire Porter, working on mainly muscles, or naming them at the time. Tonight, I wanted to share with you just a few points. One is this idea of Ubuntu that you may have heard of. Desmond Tutu speaks of it often, which is this notion that we're only a person through the people that we share our lives with. So it feels really wonderful to be sharing and back home, if I will, with the body-mind-centering community. So Ubuntu. And then secondly, this notion that was new to me only in the last maybe 8 years, which to me is pretty amazing, of pain. I haven't had a lot of pain on the physical level in my life. But it was at Teachers College that it all started. I was looking at the floor and I was noticing that there were little nicks in the floor. And I'm going, wow, this is a floor that Martha Hill danced on, and probably Margaret Dobler graced, and perhaps even John Dewey walked through. And the school's just letting it get all nicked up. And it turns out that there were tap dancers using the floor. And of course that's great, but usually, you know, you share floor, you put out some Marley, you do something to protect it. And so I was getting kind of upset as I watched Claire rehearsing. I'm like, they're nicking the floor. And then about 2 weeks later, we found out for sure that the floor was going to be turning into offices. So I thought, that's not very seventh generation thinking. Here we are, a school of education, and we're no longer going to teach dance. We're just going to use a dance space for cubicles and computers and just more sitting. So, around the same time, I was starting to have like ankle cramps. And I wasn't sure what was going on. I thought, well, maybe this is the beginning of menopause. You know, maybe it's something. I don't know. Frozen shoulder, frozen ankle, it could be anything. So I thought not much about it, but I did find that I wasn't dancing very much. And then I thought, well, that's not very seventh generation thinking, to just stop moving, even though I love my computer. And so I thought a bit about Irmgard Bartunieff and how when she was 78, and my dear friend Tara, who at the time was Francia, named McClellan, now Tara Steppenberg, my college professor, said, come meet this amazing woman. I followed her. Follow a college professor. How many of you have done that? Good thing to do. And Irmgard would say things like, do this! Or, how about, no, I don't want to do it. Do that! Do this! And so we would do it because I don't know why we did it, but She could do it, is the point. And she was 78 years old. She didn't say do it, she showed us how to do it. And then she helped us out a little bit by doing things like this. You know about these things. You just saw them nicely applied in Claire and Kate's piece. Yeah, just finding actually the bones to help organize the muscles. Nice, clear, spatial intention. Know where you want to go and how. To go there involves knowing where to initiate from. As a matter of fact, I remember saying to Irmgard some years later, because Tara, Francia, had also introduced me to her next door neighbor. And her next door neighbor was Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen. And so I got to learn about the scapula, actually from Len. He taught me about all the borders of the scapula. And it went so well with what I later learned from Irmgard about the little finger connecting, right, to the inferior angle, the thumb, to the coracoid and chromium, to that index finger. All these things were coming together. But what I really love from Irmgard's book is this notion that preparation, initiation, and spatial intention determine the course of an action. But I was confused because in the BMC work, we were being very clear, isolating the leg, not letting the back move at all. And then I got to Irmgard, and she was like, move the back, move, swing it, really swing it. Get that sagittal planar thing going. I said, Irmgard, I'm confused. And she says, oh, well, you should know if you're going to take a walk, you need to move the spine. And if you're going to sit, you don't. Just find your hip joint. So then I was very happy that I had learned from Bonnie and Len to keep my adrenals out of it and just let your leg be free. And I mean, even today, right? You can involve the colon. Get a little more going in it. So for instance, now when I teach the Bartenia fundamentals, I love that the heart can drop back and the lungs can exhale. And the colon, let's say the descending colon is releasing down and back, and your uterus, if you have one, is enjoying being sandwiched by the bladder and the rectum. And then, yes, then you can find your triceps, because you've got your organs on suspension. Even if you have pain in your ankles, you can enjoy different ranges of motion from this deep knowledge. So it's okay to keep dancing. As a matter of fact, we want to keep dancing. It's fun to play with the axis scale while dancing. Space is part of home and place. So Ubuntu friends, community, and keep dancing from the place that feels true to you. To do, so I'll just do it right now. Which is just kind of, you know, I left out the whole developmental shtick. So, voila! So speaking of teachers, I know many of us in this room have learned great things from Sandy Jamrog. And so one of the things we wanted to end this evening with was just kind of a circle honoring her. So I would love anybody who actually took a class with or from Sandy